Thanks for being here today. My name is Paige, and I know many of you. In fact, I think I know most all of you on the call. I'm so excited to be here today. We have a presentation. It's called Stop Overthinking, Declutter Your Mind and Focus on the Present. And this is being brought to you by Erika Thompson, who is one of my coworkers. She's a health educator here at Salt Lake County, and I'm just going to read a little bit about her. Erika graduated from Weber State University with a BS in health promotion and currently works as, I gave that away. She currently works as a health educator for the Salt Lake County Aging and Adult Services. She coordinates evidence-based health education programs that are implemented at the Salt Lake County Senior Centers. Erika recently graduated from the University of Utah with a Master's of Science in Gerontology. While in the program, Erika developed a gardening program for Hispanic older adults that highlights the health benefits of gardening and provides tools to start gardening. Erika is an advocate for older adults from diverse groups and seeks for opportunities to be involved in. So awesome. Thanks, Erika. Glad you're here. I'm going to pass the time over to you. And thanks to everybody who is here.
Yeah, thank you, Paige. I'm ready. Let me just organize myself here with the screen so you can see the PowerPoint. Yeah, already. Well, so this presentation is based on the book Stop Overthinking, 23 Techniques to Relieve Stress, Stop Negative Spirals, Declutter Your Mind, and Focus on the Present, The Path to Calm. And the author is Nick Trenton. So how many here, maybe by raising your hand, can tell me if you have experienced overthinking in your life already? So most of you, the ones that I can see. So overthinking, I am a hardcore overthinker, if you wanna call it like that. And I have become more aware of it as I'm raising my son, my 9-year-old son. He has some mental health conditions that we have to deal with. And it was then when I had to look inward to figure out how to help him. And that's when I realized the overthinking that was taking place inside my head. So in an effort to understand a little better what's going on with me, but also how I was projecting all these things to my son, and just kind of wanted to help myself, I came across this book. And I also, on Facebook, I saw that picture that you see on the screen. You're overthinking again. Breathe. It's okay. You'll figure out. And even if you don't, that's okay too. And that's a constant reminder that I have to do for myself. So there's nothing wrong with overthinking. You know, our brains are made to think. We're thinking all the time. There is not a turn off button. Like sometimes I wish I can have one so I can stop thinking for a second. There is not one. But our brains are also designed to help us solve problems and understand things. But overthinking does the opposite to our brains. So when we're overthinking, our thoughts can get out of control and cause distress. Overthinking makes us analyze, evaluate, and worry. And then those thoughts can become unwanted, unstoppable, and self-defeating. And these can affect our health because causes anxiety and stress. So overthinking can sometimes be called worry, anxiety, stress, rumination, or even obsession. So when we are feeling this, that means that we are really overthinking it, and then we need to explore the reasons why. So, but it doesn't matter what we call it, if we call it worry or if we call it anxiety, overthinking can be awful because it's not helping us solve the problems or it's not making us feel better. And this is how I feel sometimes. When I spend a lot of time overthinking a solution of a problem, sometimes I don't even reach a decision because I spend too much time thinking about it. When we continue to, but the reason that we continue to overthink is because we're feeling that we're tackling those problems and that we're finding solutions when in reality we're not. And I can think of a few occasions that my overthinking has kept me from making important decisions that could have been taken at that moment. And so that's my situation. So how do you know if you are overthinking? So now I already mentioned that overthinking is harmful to mental activity. And this activity can be analyzing, judging, monitoring, evaluating, controlling, or worrying. But if you're overthinking, if you're often conscious of your thoughts moment to moment. And I feel like that's something I have a lot. You think about your thoughts. You try to control or steer your thoughts. So I sometimes caught myself thinking, we're not going to think about this, Erika. We already thought about it, or things like that. Or another way to tell if you're overthinking is you are distracted by or dislike spontaneous thoughts. Thinking for you feels like a struggle. You are frequently analyzing, questioning, doubting, or judging your own thoughts. You're like, is this right? Is this, on my own experiences, I go, is this right? Is this how everybody's thinking? Can I run it by somebody so that they can tell me if I'm wrong or not? Um, you have trouble making decisions and doubt your choices. So I've already shared with you guys that sometimes it takes me a really long time to make those decisions. And there are many things you are worried and concerned about. You recognize yourself repeatedly engaging in negative thoughts and patterns. And you keep going back to the past to past thoughts, even when nothing can be done. And this is something very common for me. I like to revisit situations that I had with people that maybe were not the most positive situations. And I like to go over my head what happened and what could have I done better. And so even though these situations are done and over and have gone past many years ago, I continue to revisit them for some reason. And so I add more to my stress. So overthinking sometimes doesn't have to do with the problem that we're trying to solve. It just more has to do with this habit of overthinking and being stuck in a loop, like in a cycle. That we don't recognize that we're inside that cycle or that loop. And so it's hard to get out of it because we don't have maybe the tools or the awareness that we're doing that. So these are three of the negative thinking patterns that sometimes we experience. The first one is catastrophizing. So this one is when we imagine a worst case scenario. we think that the outcome to the solution or the situation is going to be the worst. And we have and we worry. We have this tendency to worry and to think the worst is going to happen. So, to give you an example, yesterday I had a class. Many of you know that that's what we do. We do classes. I have two leaders that were coming in to help, and I had a guest speaker. The guest speaker at the last minute said, I want to join the class, but I want to join it virtual. And I was not aware of that. So at the last minute, I had to scramble to let my helpers know and make sure that the technology was going to be available. I was going to help. And then from there, I went into this cycle or this catastrophe that thinking, oh, my helpers are not going to show up. The speaker is not going to be able to log in. What's it going to do for my class? I'm going to have people upset. I'm going to have a speaker that might not want to help us again. So it was just a very negative thinking that I had, and I kept asking myself, what is the worst that's going to happen? So it's not fun. The second negative thinking pattern is all or nothing thinking. There's not a gray area, nothing in between. So it can be either you're a success, like this presentation is going to be a great success, or it's going to be a failure. Oh no, nobody liked the presentation kind of thing. Or your performance, something to do with your performance. Is it really good or it's really bad? And if it's not perfect, it's a complete disaster. That's the kind of thinking. And then, so an example could be someone who is in a diet that's been working on it, eating healthy every day for quite some time. And then one day you have a snack that maybe you're not allowed to have. And then because of that one snack, you have ruined the whole diet. You ruin your possibilities of weight loss. You can't do anything right. So that's kind of the kind of thinking when you have all or nothing. And then the last one is overgeneralizing. This is when you experience a setback or a failure and you generalize it across all situations. So this one is, every time I think about this, I remember a time when my dad, I don't know, I was about 17 years old, and my sister and I were preparing a meal for my dad. And whatever the meal was, he wanted to have a dinner roll with the meal, but we didn't have it. And he got really upset, and he said, now you ruined my day, because he didn't have that piece of dinner roll. So this is the kind of thinking that because one thing goes bad, the whole day is ruined. Okay. So the book, refers to many things, but one of the things that the book dives into is that overthinking can be a symptom or expression of a mental health condition. And this can be worry, anxiety, stress, rumination, generalized anxiety. I've already mentioned that. Depression, or even obsession. And also, you can be an overthinking without having any of these conditions. But the book spends a lot of time talking about overthinking as generalized anxiety or as a symptom of anxiety. And I found this very interesting because I thought the anxiety was like an episode, something similar to panic attacks. And even though you can have a anxiety episode, it's also something that it can be generalized. And I didn't realize that until I was reading this book. So everybody experiences anxiety because of, health, money, employment, family problems, many, many things. But people that have generalized anxiety feel extremely worried or nervous more frequently than other people, uh, especially about these things. And sometimes they even do that when there is no reason to be worried about those things. Generalized anxiety involves a persistent feeling of anxiety or dread that interferes with how you live your life. So people that experiences generalized anxiety can have it for 6 months to years, which I thought it was very interesting. So I encourage you to look a little bit more into anxiety, but since we don't have all afternoon, some of the things that we can do to stop the negative thinking and therefore help our anxiety is to identify what's triggering our minds. To be able to identify those triggers, we need to become more aware. So, awareness is to turn your attention to your inner and outer experiences without judging, without clinging to the thoughts or resisting the feeling. Awareness is neutral, comfortable, and still. Anxiety is emotional and tends to get carried away with itself. So we create more awareness by checking with our body sensations, our thoughts, our feelings, and making sure our lifestyle is supporting us in the way we need to. And by including some form of mindfulness in every day of our lives. So let me give you an example of anxiety, and then I'll give you an example of awareness, and then after you can tell me what's the difference. So an example of awareness of anxiety is there is so much going on right now. I can't cope. I am about ready to run away. Nobody helps me. I can't do this anymore. Why is this happening to me? So that's anxiety. An example of awareness will be there is a lot going on right now. My heart is racing. I am beginning to panic. I can feel uh, my I can feel my thoughts racing. So, how are those two different? You can comment on the chat or you can unmute yourself.
So in the second one, the person's just recognizing the symptoms. They're not judging it. They're just saying, oh, my heart's racing, and they're identifying.
Yes, 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 that's a good one. Anything else?
maybe that it's just bringing awareness to that they've been agitated, like, hey, my heart is racing, and something's going on, because obviously my blood, my heart rate's up, and um, which is kind of just that awareness that something's got me riled up.
Right. Yeah. You know, yeah, an awareness that something is triggering and how you're physically feeling, like my heart is racing. Yeah, very good. Thank you. So on the anxiety example, there is judgment, like, oh, nobody will help me. Interpretation, and clinging to the anxiety. And then on the awareness example, there is more, like we say, more awareness of those feelings and what our body is doing. There is a consciousness, and there is not negative thinking and judging. Okay, so those are the two different ones. Okay, so one of the great tools the book provides is the 4 A's of stress management, which are avoid, alter, accept, and adapt. Avoid, you guys, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to wait for me a second. My dog really needs to go see what's going on outside.
I know this feeling. I have to get up and let my dog out quite often.
All right, sorry. Um, because if I don't let her outside, then she will serenade us. We don't want that. Alrighty, so avoid is when you work on arranging or avoiding circumstances or situations, even people, to reduce the stress. So, an example of something that causes me stress is going to Costco on Saturdays at 1 o'clock. There is a lot of people, or any other grocery for that matter. And so, what I choose to do is to either go in the morning very early or to go really late at night or to start doing my shopping online. So that will be an example of avoid. It doesn't mean that you're running away from a situation or delaying it. It just means that you're learning to arrange the situations and demands that take too much of you and your resources. Then the next one is alter. This one is when you can avoid a situation or a person, then you alter. So, for example, you have someone. There's a person that for some reason might be causing you stress. You can ask that person to change their behavior by communicating. You can probably avoid this person, but then you're gonna alter by asking this person to change their behavior. And you do this by communicating your feelings and needs rather than stressing out. So you can use I statements to do this. And so an example of an I statement would be, I need some time to myself, or I rather order my groceries online to avoid feeling all crowded. Do you guys have any other examples of I statements that you can use to alter a situation that you can't get out of?
Well, you just gave an example with your dog. You'd rather interrupt the meeting for a moment and put the dog outside than deal with her being disruptive later.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Roxy. Thank you. Any other examples? Okay, so the next one is accept. Sometimes we can't avoid or alter, so we just have to accept the situation. And and then and accept that it's okay to feel the way you're feeling. So it's okay to validate your feelings and emotions. So an example, I have to tell you, our family and I have become, we host a few families on Sunday. They come to our house and then we play board game and we share a meal, and it has been great because we're getting to know new people and developing friendships. Everybody comes to our house, and our house is tiny. So in any of those days, sometimes we have about 12 people, sometimes we have more. And this is something new that we are doing, so we're kind of getting used to it. But there has been many times that I feel overwhelmed with with the presence here in my house. And so sometimes I feel like I need to step out because of the. So this is an example I came up with to accept. I feel overwhelmed with all these people in my home, but I enjoy their company. So I am acknowledging my feeling of overwhelming, but I know that it's good for us to have their company because we're making good friends. So if you are in a situation that you accept, like in a situation where you were wrong, when somebody was rude to you, and you need to accept that. That acceptance can be on the form of finding forgiveness, but forgiving yourself for whatever happened in that situation, not the other person. When you forgive yourself, you realize when you forgive yourself, you're realizing that the stress and the energy can be gone, and you don't need to be resenting another person for that. So these A's of stress management are really great. But also there is a few other things that you can do to avoid overthinking or kind of getting a handle of it. So it will be stress diaries or journals. And there was a research study in Pennsylvania State University that found that positive journaling was correlated with better emotional self-regulation, improved well-being, fewer depression and anxiety symptoms. And on this study, the people were doing the journaling for only 15 to 20 minutes for 3 to 5 times a week. So it doesn't take really long time. But I found out that there is so these ones are very helpful, to thoughts because they are put in a piece of paper. You get them out of your head, and it kind of helps you see better the bigger picture. So I'm sure you guys are aware of the gratitude journals. These ones are when you write the things you are grateful for instead of focusing on the negative. You can use prompts to start writing some of the prompts are, what has someone done to help you? What are you grateful for? Or something good that happened to you today. Do we have anybody that here that uses a gratitude journal and would like to share how does it help you?
I don't use a gratitude journal per se, like to write it down, but I do often when I'm having a situation where I'm having anxiety or I'm kind of getting into that, oh, why is this happening? I take a moment to be like, you know what, this could be worse. It's like the opposite of awfulizing, right? It's like, wait, this could be worse. You know, I could, whatever it might be. And I feel like that's a kind of gratitude of realizing that, hey, everything isn't bad. You know, we got some good things here.
Yes, yes. Oh, thank you for sharing, Paige. Alrighty, so another form of diary or journal is a stress diary. Have you guys heard about these ones? Yeah, see, I can see Marty saying no. This was good for, I mean, it was new for me, but it's all outlined on the book. And so a stress diary is a written record of your stress level with information that you can use later to analyze what's causing the stress. Some of the elements to include, like on the picture that I put there, I wanted to find an example because the book doesn't have an example, it just has a description, and I wanted to know what it looked like because this is the first I heard from it. I heard about it. So that's an example that's a little bit different from what the book talks about. But some of the elements that you can include on this diary are date, time, how are you feeling right now? And then you can use a rating scale. So an example will be from 0 to 10. 0 will be I'm not stressed at all, to 10 I am super stressed. You know, it's too much for me to handle. But the idea is to use feeling words, or not physical symptoms. Let me see. So that you can say, I'm overwhelmed, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, I'm sad. Instead of saying, I have sweaty palms, or my stomach hurts, or I have a headache. Because, you uh, putting feelings to, to, to all of those things, it kind of helps you to deal better with them. And then you can also record how effective or productive you are feeling using a scale. So the idea is to make an entry every time you notice your mood changing, or even when you're in stress. So what triggers the situation or the feeling? And what was your reaction? So for example, on here on the screen, it says the intensity of the stress is a 4, and the situation was that it woke up late and missed the first class, and what triggered this was to go to a fun party that lasted until 2 a.m. Nobody in this group does that. It's just an example. And then the emotional behavior, well, I got mad at my roommate because the roommate didn't wake her up. So that's an example. But when you do that, when you write down the triggers, the feelings, and the reactions, you eventually are going to notice maybe a pattern or what's causing that stress. or what are those events? Maybe you find yourself on the same events or in the same situations and having that same reactions. And then, so once you recognize them, you can make changes. So if you wanted to see more examples, then you can go, you can just, search the internet, stress diaries, and it will give you a ton of examples. The next one is bullet journaling. Do we have anybody here that does bullet journaling? Oh, Becky. Becky, you want to tell us about it?
Once a week I do it. I just write down one thought, and I doodle. It's a doodle, really. So I doodle, and yeah, it helps me kind of focus on what's important. Kind of like a gratitude journal is kind of how I do my bullet journal, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. And does it help you like be more organized or feel less stress?
Sometimes I'm a list writer, but I'm not always a list doer. So I think that's why I like the bullet journal, because it's in a list. But when I can see what I need to do, I don't feel like I'm jumping from one thing to another. So yes, it does help me feel less stress, and it keeps me focused.
All right. Great. So there you go, guys. That's another option. So this one, bullet journaling, is helpful. It's a helpful tool to manage ongoing stress. So in this journal, you use brief notes to keep track of your daily goals, priorities, even memories. When you keep it brief, like bullet points, it helps you stay organized and structure your life, because you are it's kind of very similar to to-do lists, that you're prioritizing in very few words what you're going to do. And a lot of people color coded, they add pictures, quotes, positive messaging. When I did an internet search, people do it with stickers. So a lot of stickers, a lot of markers. So they're really interesting. If you like to make to-do lists, maybe the bullet journaling, it might be a good option for you. But we have to remember that journals or diaries are not for everyone. These are tools to get you closer to your thoughts, feelings, and ideas. But if you're finding yourself overthinking about the journal, or focusing more on the journal and what does it look like and what are you going to write than more than your thoughts, then maybe this is not for you and you need to try a different technique. I have considered myself to do this, but every time I think about it, I go like, it's going to require too much time. And I don't have that much time. So I feel like I think I would like to try it, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But there are many other techniques that could help you with the awareness that we talked about, so that you can reduce your overthinking or the anxiety. And also to manage your stress. These techniques help you ground yourself, helps you focus on your thoughts. One very interesting statement that gave me a lot to think about in this book is that poor time management can cause more anxiety. And it was something about the lines that people that have generalized anxiety don't prioritize the time very well. leading to more anxiety. And it was a very interesting statement to me because I don't consider myself to be wasteful of my time. I feel like I manage pretty okay, but it's giving me, maybe I need to reconsider and explore a little bit more. And the reason why it causes, poor time management causes more anxiety is because we focus on things that make us feel miserable. We want to get those tasks that we feel like are important done. And we forget to schedule enough time to do the things that we enjoy doing. We don't make ourselves a priority. Another technique is SMART goals. And these ones are very specific goals that you measure and that you want to complete in a short period of time, maybe a week, maybe a month. And these goals help us with time management and also are helpful to schedule the time that we need for ourselves. Meditation is also a great technique. This one not only helps us gain awareness of our thoughts and the way our body feels, but it also helps us with reducing the stress and it makes, on top of making us aware how we're feeling and what we're thinking, it helps us do it without judgment, just accepting what's happening and how it is. So I listed there some guided imagery, progressive muscle relaxation, or body scan. And out of those ones, my favorite one to do is body scan. It really gives me a lot of helps me be aware of what's going on with my body. And you can go to YouTube and you can find, you just need to search those goals, those words in YouTube, and you'll find so many of them that can be helpful. Then we have the worry post momentum. Maybe it's not spelled right there, but it's okay. You guys get it. This one is an effective way to interrupt anxiety spirals. When you recognize yourself being anxious, you schedule a time in the future to worry. And then continually bring yourself or your mind to the present. So, for example, I'm worried. I want to think about what's worrying me or stressing me at 6 o'clock for half an hour. And so throughout the day, every time you have one of those worry thoughts, you need to postpone it and say, no, we're going to do this at 6 o'clock. And so I feel like that one requires a lot of discipline in your part with your thoughts. And sometimes it's a skill you have to build up to that. But we can eliminate worry from our lives. We're going to be worrying all the time. But the one thing that we can manage is the time that we spend and the duration of the worry. And then, so there are many techniques that can help us reduce generalized anxiety and therefore overthinking. So I like to encourage you to try one. A good way to get started is to create a SMART goal. And then, even deciding which technique you want to try can be put into a SMART goal. And then from there, you can start working on that one. So I share with you guys that overthinking. I am a chronic overthinking, and I'm becoming aware of it, and I want to work on it because last night I woke up overthinking about this presentation, and I value my sleep, and I also don't want to be stressed about it. So I want to do things to change this overthinking. So one of the things that I want to try out is the stress journal. Wait, that's not what I called it earlier. Because I want to identify what's triggering those overthinking cycles and how am I reactioning to those triggers and what are the situations. So that's what I want to do. And the other thing that really helps me that I have been doing a lot lately is deep breathing. And this one is very convenient to do because you can do it while you're driving. You can do it maybe when you're in the bathroom, when you're washing the dishes. And some smartphones can help you do some deep breathing exercises. And that's something that really helps me become less anxious. In fact, I was doing it in the car this morning while I was driving my son to school. He picked it up on it, and he was also doing some exercises, some deep breathing exercises with me. So those are all the information I have. I think this is a great book. This is what the cover looks like, by Nick Trenton, if you guys would like to check it out. And here's some of the other resources that I use for today. So I'm gonna stop sharing. Maybe somebody has a question. So if you guys have any questions.
Erika, her hand raised. I don't know if that, Patty, you do have a question. If you do, just unmute yourself. I couldn't see her before, so I don't know if her hand has been up or not.
Maybe it was from when I asked.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, maybe.
Maybe.
Well, I have a comment because, believe it or not, I've spent a lot of time looking at my anxiety and how to deal with it. And of course, it ebbs and flows, right, depending on what's going on in your life. But the way that I know if I'm having anxiety is I call it the pencil in the eye moment. And that's when I want to stick a pencil in my own eye. That's when I know I need to take a moment. You know, when things are just so nuts. You know, I have to do a presentation for school, and I got to do, I'm coming up with 3 classes at work, and oh my gosh, and I got to get home, and I got to go to Cynthia. It's just like, I want to, and then it's just like, whoa, wait a second. This is not how you want to be. You know, I take that moment to just be like, if you're having this feeling, then you're not dealing with it in a way that's beneficial. So just take a beat, take a moment, take some deep breaths. And that's really helped me. Just having that ability to pinpoint when I'm starting to tumble, before I fall, I can control a lot more of my anxiety. Currently, I'm waking up just like you, Erika, in the middle of the night, thinking about this assignment and that assignment. Oh, did I contact that CPC? And all I do is sometimes I just try to do that thing where I just try not to be attached to it. Just let it go, let it run its course, and then try to go back to sleep. Try almost like you're not, kind of like when your dog is like, hey, let me out, and you just try to ignore it. Sometimes that works.
Yeah.
So those are my inputs. It was very nice presentation. Patty says that she's at work, and so she cannot, oh, you got that, Erika. Never mind. Erika's dealt with it. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else have anything to add? You can unmute yourself.
I was just gonna go back to your comment page because I think it is really important that we learn to recognize that moment when we are finally when we're really stressed out, really anxious, and take that moment to really cut back or do one of these techniques. I feel like mine is I, I I feel like I need to run away. Like I need to get out of this place, this situation, because that's when I'm feeling the stress or the anxiety a lot. And sometimes you can't get out of it. Anyway, any more questions, comments?
Erika, I want to say thank you. I actually noticed myself in way too many of your categories in the beginning.
Yes. Yes. So from all those, yeah, I have all of those, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I like Paige was saying, it's kind of good to check in with yourself. And yeah, I like that. You had some really good information. I think that's fascinating. Thank you, Erika.
Yeah. Thank you guys for being here. Yeah, thank you, Patty. Sorry we can't hear you, but thank you for being here. Already, everyone. Thank you, Teresa, for being here. Well, if there are no more comments.
I think we have Becky, do you know what next week's program is by any chance?
Yes, it goes along really well with gratitude. It's on gratitude and how it's more than just for Thanksgiving. It can really improve your health. So that was kind of a good segue, Erika.
All right.
And it will be Maria Rodriguez from Valley Behavioral Health, and her presentations are always awesome.
They are. Well, thank you, Erika. That really was a great presentation. I can't hear that stuff enough. It really does help me. I hope everybody else on the call found some value out of the presentation. Thank you so much for being here. Hopefully we'll see you next Tuesday at 2 o'clock to talk about gratitude. Have a great rest of your day.